What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Tonight, we're talking The Acolyte, we're talking House of the Dragon. We got tons of stuff to start. But before we get into all that, Doug, how's it going, sir?
Well, Keith, let me tell you, I am outstanding. I like having a variety of things for all of us to be able to watch. And oh, hey, Keith, we just got a guest pop in.
All right.
Look at that.
The better Kinchus, Sierra, thank you for joining us.
Can't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you. We'll give her 1 second.
But anyway, I am doing wonderful, Keith. I love having such a wide variety of awesome things to watch and, be able to talk about it. We got, just watched the episode of The Boys today, and I cannot wait to talk about it with you all whenever we get around to it. So we're not doing this coming Sunday, right?
We are not.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Yep,
yes.
we can hear you now.
Cool. Sorry, go ahead.
But tonight we're going to be talking about The Acolyte and the House of the Dragon, which is why we have a special guest here. So without further ado, Sierra, how are you?
I'm good. It's my day off of work, so I'm chilling.
It's your day off work, so we're making you work. Oh.
If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't be here. Not much else. I'm just sitting down. I was actually thinking about House of the Dragon for a solid hour earlier.
Oh, really?
This morning. Yeah. I was actually nervous yesterday because I mixed up the days. And it was after work, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 5. It's 5 my time. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 5. And then I'm checking, I'm like, oh, we're not on today. We're on tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, before we get into that, Keith, sir, how are you doing?
I am tremendous. It's always a good time to hang out with some of the greatest nerds alive and talk anything that we happen to watch. We got Star Wars show, we got a Game of Thrones spin-off, House of the Dragon. You can't go wrong with that. So
what?
Let me fix our OBS. You look lost, Dave.
Did we get another guest?
We do. I made it, and I want all your bacon and eggs, all of it.
I believe it's called Beggs and Aiken.
Ron Swanson. All right.
Well, should we talk House of the Dragon? Or Hot D, if you just use the initials.
Hot D. I love it.
Hot D. It's a family show here, Keith.
No, it's just House of the Dragon. It's just the acronyms, Dave. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Right,
get your mind out of the gutter, man. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Right. Disgusting. Your daughter's here.
I love opening my eyes to, some new Hot D.
Oh my gosh.
I love just watching that Hot D. And I'd love to talk about Hot D with
LGBT.
you.
And it's only weekly, which is so disappointing.
I know. I really wish I had more Hot D in my life.
Oh my goodness. Hot tea.
You don't get enough Hot D once a week. That's not enough.
It's not enough.
Now we're done with the Hot D. Let's talk about the hot tea about the Hot D.
How about some hot goss about the Hot D? No.
Hot goss.
Are you guys going to spill the tea on the Hot D?
Hopefully not.
God. No, that would burn it.
There we go.
But we did, according to our friend Tundra Walker, he is now calling it Nap of the Dragon, which he watched it before I did, and I was like, oh no, is this going to be a boring episode? I didn't see it as boring at all.
No.
I'm enjoying it. What do you nap?
I didn't think it was boring.
I didn't either. I'm like,
I haven't had a chance to watch
the chaos.
I mean, I guess I could see someone coming in thinking that it's initially boring, but I don't
Sure. Yeah, I think the first episode was a little slow. It took me a minute to like get into it, but this recent one was fine.
I mean,
Well, what do you think, Dad?
I didn't see this week's yet.
No.
I was really
we got,
sorry. That's why you're here. You're here to fill my gap.
as we called
Fill
it
your
earlier, the
gap
good
with
kinches.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I'm so sorry.
The good kinches.
Mm.
We had a lot of
yeah, Doug. I'm not gonna say that other comment that that goes with filling the gap. I'm sorry.
Hot D could fill in the gap.
the show is getting
Yeah,
off
that's
hand
what I didn't
already.
want to say, Sierra.
Sorry,
But
go
you guys take it away. I'll interject where I can.
Well,
Okay, just every now and again say the word dragon, and that's pretty much,
talk about babies being murdered, which did
Oh, wow, okay.
cause quite a bit of chaos in this week's episode.
Was our monetization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're just talking about House of the Dragon, Hot D, and that's what happened in the show. And honestly, seeing how everyone kind of reacted differently to kind of what was going on. Obviously, Otto Hightower is like, my grandson's dead, but you know what? This is what we need to do to take complete advantage of it.
Like a true politician.
Yes, he stepped right into that and was like, the king. Was
Actually, a dead kid is a great thing for us. Here's how.
like, let me tell you why this is going to be
It
good.
would be Otto.
I know.
We had the king reacting as kind of you would expect with
A
his
father who
temperament and
just
everything
lost
else.
their child in a brutal manner. Yeah.
I mean, I think his reaction, the actor, the dialogue, and everything for it was actually better than most, fathers' reactions in other movies and shows. He looked actually pretty upset about it. I thought that was pretty cool. The way they depicted him being in pain about it, instead of like how most characters, they got to be the strongest, so they got to shrug it off. Oh, it's nothing. They're not freaking out. They're not throwing things. They're just like, I got to move on.
And
Whereas
it almost seemed like
he's
that's
crazy.
what Otto wanted him to do too.
Yeah. But where really he's actually majorly upset. I think that was cool to see that in the show. That depiction.
So
And the
good
young
acting.
man acting, yes, I was going to say, the young man
Yeah.
playing that part. As much as I hate his character, he was
Yeah.
phenomenal in this role.
I think
mean,
they
You're
all
talking
are.
about the king, right?
just so you know, Nisith just cashed in some channel points. Can any of you guess what he might have picked?
Specifically.
No, what do you?
I
You sound kind of weird, Keith.
All right.
What do you,
got
what do you
four
mean
something?
I sound weird? Do you got something in your ears, Dave? This is how I always talk.
Oh,
I think awesome. It's
well,
awesome.
clearly the king. I mean, I watched the first episode. Clearly, the king loves his children.
You talking
You
about
know, that's very-
Viserys?
What?
Viserys, the king?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
He wants to bring
okay.
his king to the, to learn how right away, because he didn't learn as a child how to be a king. He's going to start his kids off right away, and clearly he loves his kids. That's one thing I can say that isn't, since I didn't see this episode, that I feel like he loves his kids.
Would it also be fair to call them his niece and nephew?
Yes,
They
that
are.
is exactly what he can call them. And while we're talking about his sister wife, her reaction when Otto's plan of traipsing them all over the Capitol with the dead kid was really good. I hate being so nice, but she doesn't want to be out there with the people. And when they got stuck, I was like actually scared that she was going to do something to people.
I thought she was gonna. It's Game of Thrones. I definitely saw something. I thought she was gonna freak out, scream at him or something. No, she's just having a panic attack. Which, Honestly, I like Helena. You know, she hasn't done anything wrong. She's just born into a really messed up family. You know, so
Yes, it's good. Good that she had a panic attack because panic leads to anxiety, and anxiety leads to confusion. Confusion is kind of an awkward path, but eventually, step 2, 3, you get to the dark side of the force, and that's what we really want. Embrace your evil, your hatred, and then you can amass an ultimate power.
There should be
Are
a
you
rule
wearing a
against
shirt?
someone on the stream cashing in channel points for a voice. We maybe need to lock her up or whatever it is we used to do. I can't remember.
Cage.
Cage.
Put her in a cage.
Caged.
Sierra's getting
You can't
caged.
cage me. You can't. That's not how this works.
You're right. I'm sorry for stepping out of my bounds.
You should be. I'll let it slide this time.
Thank you.
See, I'm wondering
You're
how
a
many
fine
Sith
queen.
Lords.
You see, Keith,
How many
what you
Sith
actually
Lords-
need to do is you just need to gaslight her and then convince her that the gaslighting doesn't exist.
Of course.
Like a Sith.
What were you
How many
saying?
Sith actually wear a shirt of their apprentice? I
Well,
mean,
look,
that's
it's
the,
I mean, you
It's
must be pretty proud.
motivational. He's been having a rough bout, you know. We just lost the Death Star. He was trapped in that TIE fighter for a couple of weeks. He smells like burning hot garbage. It's to make him feel good, you know. But also it's of his apprentice to remind him what a loser he is. You know, I
No.
can't let him getting too uppity.
It's good to
All right.
see that you're keeping him in check, because it sounds like he needs it.
Funny how we always end up talking about Star Wars when we're talking about anything related to Game of
Well, what else
Thrones. I
happened
think
to-
that's funny.
And I'd just
Well,
like to
what else
say
happened?
Funny
thanks
is
for
I'm
being
the
in the
Emperor.
chat, the Ginger Fox Clan. We appreciate you. Sorry we're doing all of these voices. It's channel points on our Twitch stream. Everyone wants to hear us talk in anything but our own voices.
True.
Should we get back to House of the Dragon? Or as Dave
Yeah.
likes to
Should,
call
you
it, Hot D.
hot D.
Hot dude. Hot dude.
You know, my apprentice Darth Vader had a hot D.
Oh my goodness. This is
Wasn't
a-
everything on that? Wasn't everything hot with that guy?
Well,
Yes.
the good news is my 5 minutes is done. Emperor,
Yeah.
good guy, Palps. You still got a few minutes.
Yeah.
Good.
We'll talk about the Sith later. Let's get the house hot D.
Let's get the hot D out the way.
We also, we had a lot going on in King's Landing. A lot of good things going on. We even had Lord Laris kind of being Littlefinger all over again, really getting
Yeah.
in people's ears and, doing what he does best. So we're going to see how that plays out, especially when Otto was like coming in and just going up and down. He's like, you know what? Take off your badge.
Man.
I was like, don't do it, man. As wrong as your dad is on a lot of things, or I shouldn't say wrong, he's usually pretty right about things. How cold and unfeeling he is in a lot of situations. He's a good hand. He'll give you good advice. And,
Otto isn't his father.
oh, you're right. I meant his grandfather.
His grandfather.
Yes.
Yes, I'm a grandfather as well. There's a whole movie about it. You should watch it. It's quite wonderful.
When is it coming
You got
out?
a Joffrey Tywin thing going then,
But
right?
And your
You
What?
got a
Yeah.
Joffrey
Yeah.
your
We
time is
kinda
up,
did.
Palpatine.
oh, okay, good.
I think Otto Hightower is a POS. Very much
yeah,
so.
he totally is.
I've hated him since I've seen him. But does he give bad advice? I don't.
I
think
mean,
so.
he gives good marketing advice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like deep down he wants to be king. He knows he can't be king, so he instead put his family there, which obviously that's the whole plot for
I
Allison, which
don't
makes
think
sense.
he does. I
I
think
think
he seems like the type of person who knows that there's no being the king would be too much responsibility. I think it'd be better for him. It seems like he's the type of person where he wants to be the guy to manipulate the king and use it for his benefit. But then, be
True.
able to not have to take responsibility when something goes wrong.
That's what I was going to
So
say.
I
He
think
wants
something
to-
like the Hand of the King is exactly the kind of position he wants to be in.
Yeah.
He wants someone who he can manipulate well, and then if it all goes to
Exactly.
crap, be like, talk to the king.
Yeah, I'm not in charge, clearly.
I mean, look, I'm just the hand. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like I don't got my hands are off.
Literally.
Yeah.
If your hands are off, how can you be the hand?
But
Well, once the king gets in trouble, his hands are off. He quits.
I
that's how.
gotta say, when Dave was talking about House of the Dragon before, when he was saying that like none of these people were likable, God, is that ever true? Because a lot of these people are just the most unlikable bunch. I think I gained just a tiny bit of sympathy for Rhaenyra. But other than that, and that's only because, like, she, in her naivete, she seemed like she truly did not realize what was going to happen when she ordered, them to go and kill her, I guess, half-brother?
Amand.
Amon. Eye patch.
She does come off as someone who is caring. I mean, her and Alicent are kind of being forced
Used to be
into
friends.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they would still be friends. I mean, Daemon, first off, Aemon killing the kid in the last season obviously was not Alicent's call. She didn't want that to happen. It was a mistake. And then, even though, she was extremely upset about it and wanted something to happen to Aemon, she did not tell Daemon to send some, killers into the castle and, take a son for a son.
That was Doctor Who ordered that.
Yes. The scene,
He
too,
didn't-
where she was talking with Daemon and saying, I can't trust you. What did you say to them if they couldn't find Daemon? She knew exactly what happened. And she was just livid. Because she this makes her, once again, almost having grown up in the king's court, knowing this looks so bad for me. No one is going to come to my side thinking I did this. And of course, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't do it, if Otto would have just done it himself to make her look bad, But it does. It puts her in a bad light. There's going to be so many more people, a lot of the major houses, backing, the Greens at this point because of what it looks like. I mean, two dragons fighting and a kid getting killed, or a young man getting killed, isn't as bad as a baby being killed in his crib, basically.
Right. It's the optics.
Exactly.
Well, I don't think when she said, I want Aemon, I don't think she meant, let's get Aemon right now, get his head. I think when Daemon acted, that was more Daemon acting on his own, very clearly when she yells at him.
And she pointed that out to him, too.
Yeah. She's like, I didn't command you to take anyone's head. I just said I want Aemon. I think she meant, like, I want Aemon also. Like, they were talking about war. They were talking about getting ready.
Yeah.
And she's like, along with what's already going on, I want Aemon. That's just, she didn't have to say the rest. I just want Aemon. At the end of the day,
I don't think
however they have to do it.
I don't think she actually wants to go to war.
No, I don't think she does. But at this point, it's like anyone can see that that's what this was always going to lead to anyway. So as with her maturity, she's probably wise enough to be like, well, it's going to happen anyway at this point. And if we're going to go to war, I want fucking Aemon's head. I'm sorry. I want Aemon's head.
Have any of you read, what is it, Blood and Fire?
No.
Ice and Fire.
No, it's Fire and Blood is the book that
Fire and
this
Blood.
is based
Okay.
on.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
I have
Game
not
of Thrones is
either.
Ice and Fire, right?
No, yes, Game of Thrones is a song of ice and fire. This was a book called Fire and Blood.
Yeah.
Because the ice isn't around
I
you.
have not read Fire and Blood, so I really don't know how this is going to play out or how the show is different from the novel.
There's already a lot of differences. Rhaenyra is supposed to be a little bit uglier.
Really?
Yeah. There's
Like
just
scarred from war?
like scarred
Or what do
from
you mean?
war. No, like fatter, like just greasier.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a couple characters they switched around. I don't know how to describe it. I gotta recap them. A little
Crazy.
dizzy now.
Probably better for TV. Kind of like
yeah,
they didn't
they're
make
gonna make the characters prettier, but there was some.
Was she like Jabba the Hutt or something? I mean, come on.
Ooga Abba.
No.
Mila Kunis.
Well, I mean,
Hola, Amon Head.
that's just one of the ones I remembered. There's more to it. There's stuff with Sir Kristen Cole. That's different stuff with Damon. I just can't remember specifics because it's a little complicated. But yeah, there's a couple differences that I know of. I didn't read the full book. I only started it. So I couldn't get into it. So, but I do know. I know spoilers. Let's just.
Well, we can talk spoilers for this episode, but let's not talk spoilers.
No. I'm not. Yeah,
one of the things that I'm picking up on, at least as far as her camp goes, Rhaenyra, is it does not seem like she has a whole lot of anybody who has a lot of tactical know-how, or anybody. She doesn't have like an equivalent to Otto Hightower. She doesn't have somebody to help her with the politics of it all, or to figure out, what the next move is. She doesn't seem to have that person who's playing, super 4D chess or whatever.
I feel like that was supposed to be Damon, though. I feel like it was supposed to be Damon. He was supposed to be on her side, and he's just concerned about war because he's rage fueled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Damon's that guy that'll
out.
support her no matter what, but I think he's proven over the last couple seasons you cannot trust his judgment.
No.
Yeah. And that's what I think that's what Rhaenyra was saying to him, when she had to go off on him. She's like, this isn't what I wanted. This is like, yeah. I'm glad she stuck up for herself. I was very satisfied with that argument. I was like, he's probably going to leave, and he probably needs to. That's not bad. Yeah, go ahead.
Just a few chatters.
I was just saying.
We got Grand Admiral Hawk Tua. Thank you so much for joining the chat.
Yeah, that's an awesome name.
Jacqueline Kinchis, thank you so much for showing up.
She said, "See, that girl is so pretty. Oh my god." And she meant to see that.
Thank you.
It's your sister.
Where is that? I'm not seeing the.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
We are streaming to both YouTube and Twitch. Join us on one of them. Or both.
Or all three. Wait, there's not three of them.
All traits.
Also, we're on MySpace.
Yeah, streaming live
in 420p.
But yeah, I was kind of glad when he left. I felt like, as you should, like, you're an asshole. You just keep making moves. You think you're the captain of the ship, you're not, just because Rhaenyra's gone and having a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
It's just, no.
Speaking of captain of the ship, what is the deal with what's the deal with airline food? No, what's the deal with like this whole weird side story with the Valerians? Like every now and again they'll switch over and like, well, I was on a ship and now I'm not, but I'm gonna get on a ship again. Okay, next scene. Okay.
Well, and
thanks
the
for the
guy
break.
who saved the
yeah,
not a king. I forget what his title is, but saved him, and he's like,
Lord.
I owe you, and his buddy, his dude bro is like, oh, he owes you 10. He's like, I don't know if I want to be on the ship with him, and there's something going on that is going to play out at some point. But
I mean, it's Game of Thrones. It's always going to lead to something way bigger. So I can't.
I'm assuming
know
it
what
will.
that is.
It's just at the moment it feels like they're doing their own version of Tangent Time.
Just like a little sidebar. I mean,
Yeah,
I get why, all shows do this. It's a sidebar. You think it's unimportant until it is, and then,
it's like we're having a conversation about baby murder and war and attacking and I thank you for saving me from drowning and ship stuff and back to war.
Well, it's funny because watching Game of Thrones, I had read all the books. So every little character that popped up, I'd always be like, I know where that's going. And I haven't read this book, so characters pop up, and I'm like, okay, what's going to happen with him? It's got to be important because we wouldn't get, a minute of screen time.
I'm going to laugh so hard if it just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. That would be kind of weird. Why? Why do we care then? Why'd you do this?
No, okay, I got it, because I know how the last show ended. It's going to turn out that he's the most interesting person, and he has the best story.
Oh my gosh.
Well, think about it. We know that he needs to get back out there because of the blockade that the Valerians are trying to set up for, Queen Rhaenyra. There's a lot going on now. We know, all the ship people are racing it to get out, so it's going to be something. I think one of the key things in this episode that was said was if dragons start fighting, we're going to basically lose all of our power and everything else.
Yeah.
So they know they can't just send dragons to start fighting other dragons or get shot out of the sky at King's Landing. So it's going to be interesting to see how they gather armies and what, the Valerians' navy can do, how that can, give Queen Rhaenyra an upper hand and what it's going to play into, because there's always so many things going on in a George R.R. Martin written thing. It's like so many side quests and plot details that come up later.
I'm actually shocked there's not more. This, to me, honestly, this is like one of the first little side plots they had. There's not. I'm surprised there's not more. There was definitely a lot more layers to Game of Thrones. It was like layer on layer on layer. True. Whereas with this one, it's a little more. It's only 2 stories. The main story is straightforward. You don't really get a lot of side.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna see the main characters in every scene, no matter what. So.
And it's based on one book where Game of Thrones is eventually maybe going to be 7 or 8.
Will it though?
No, it'll never come out.
He's never gonna finish.
It will never be complete.
What do you mean? We got 8 seasons of it. Oh.
No.
Oh yeah, that ending was just it was so good that no.
That they should just redo it. That's all I'm gonna say. I keep saying it. I stand by it.
Redo the last 2 seasons. The rest of the show is good.
I didn't mind the season before. It was the season after that I really everyone.
Well, that was where they started to show that they stopped caring, like with the teleporting dragons and owls or whatever.
Yeah, whatever that was. I don't know.
I think it was a crow. It was like a crow that flew all the way from the over the wall back to King's Landing in like 3 days or something like that, and it's like that doesn't seem right.
And how many years have passed since that's been off the air? Like, has that been 8 years?
What, 4 something?
Yeah, I don't think it hasn't been 8, but it's been 4 or 5 probably. It seems like.
Since
I think it's been at least 5.
Did it end before or after the pandemic?
I thought it ended while I was working with you guys.
Huh.
And in May 19th, 2019.
Okay.
5 years?
5 years.
Wow.
Right. Okay, that does make sense.
Can I just say about this Allison thing? Allison just shows she's gotten more and more selfish over the years. She's kind of like her dad. It's just the way she was. Like Helena just lost her son in a very traumatic event, and then she has the gall, the audacity to go at her and be like, well, what you saw that night. Obviously, Helena doesn't want to talk about that. She doesn't want to talk about that. She doesn't care.
She doesn't care, right?
Like, everyone knows. Everyone secretly knows.
This girl has like psychic powers or whatever. And besides, like Alicent isn't, in any sort of real position of power, so it doesn't it doesn't matter who she's messing around with. I can understand if she was, if her husband is still alive, but now that
the only reason I think it's important to her is because once again optics. You know, she went after Rhaenyra with her bastard kids, and now she's sleeping with one of the king's guards, and it. Even though everyone in the castle knows, because you know the servants moving
but
in and out.
I don't see how it's the same. You know, like it doesn't. I don't think it matters as much for her. Like nobody should care. She's not. You know,
nobody should care.
She's kind of in a position where she could literally kind of like screw off and do whatever she wants.
I mean, I consider what Keith said though. You know, like she was damaging Rhaenyra.
Yeah.
For sleeping with. You know, even she was sleeping with Kristen Cole at the time too. You know, well, no, that was after. But what is his name? Harwin something?
Oh yeah,
whatever. Huh?
I think it was Harwin, the guy who's fathered the kids, actually, right?
Yeah. She was giving her hell for that.
Yeah.
So now for her to go and sleep with the guardsman, it's gonna be problems. But it's also like for him, he's not supposed to be sleeping with anyone. And
true, yeah.
Especially not on duty. And
speaking of that, what a dick move on his part to like just project that. Like he knows what he's doing is wrong, and then he's gonna project it on that other guard and be like, you need to go fix your cape because it's a symbol of purity. It's like, bro.
He knows that he's projecting. He's doing it so. I don't know what he thinks. He can redeem himself by getting this guy to kill Rhaenyra. That was never going to happen. There was really no point of sending him out there.
He knew there was no way.
He was sending him to his death. 100%. He was sending him to his death.
Just to be evil about it. And then to say, well, he used it to his advantage later. Which Otto was like, you're stupid. But he was like, I just sent Eric to go kill Rhaenyra. And then Otto's like, did you consider all the facts behind that? And no. And no, so now that Kristen Cole is the hand to the king, this is going to be very interesting going forward, I think, how Aemon's...
He's dumb?
Well, he thinks the same way as the king, too. You know, we need to do something.
So they're just creating an echo chamber.
Where Otto is more like, we need to make sure that have a good base, people are on our side.
We need to step back. We need to look at the bigger picture and find out how this is going to be we need to find what could be beneficial about this situation.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I hate Otto Hightower, not Hightower.
Hightower.
I hate Otto Hightower.
The Eye of Hightower!
But every move he's made so far has been working out for him. He has a very, very good and successful track record. He wanted his family in with the crown so he could influence the crown without being 100% guilty, like Keith said. And he did it. He infiltrated the crown. He usurped it. He usurped it. His grandkids are now the new royal line. He got exactly what he wanted. So I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying he deserves, redemption or anything like that, but I am saying...
But he was good at his job.
Yeah, in Aemon's case, he should probably have his grandfather there. But for Rhaenyra's case, this is up. This is good. I'm happy with this because I'm on Rhaenyra's side. So whatever hinders the green team, I'm here for. So go ahead, Kristen Cole. You can stay the hand all you want.
There's a lot of dissension within the Greens. Otto being dismissed as the hand, bringing on Kristen Cole. The mother, Allison, not really trusting the kids and wondering what's going on. But the same is happening with the Blacks. I mean, Daemon rushes off to Hammerhall, I think, to try to recruit allies against everything that Rhaenyra wanted him to do. She can't trust him. It's starting to see breaks in both sides. Like, even though Daemon says he supports her as the queen, he really doesn't. His actions say so much more than what his words say. Everything he does is what he thinks. He supports what he thinks is going to solve the problems, which is chaos. And he doesn't listen to Rhaenyra at all.
No, he thinks he knows
best. I think it's more he doesn't communicate with Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra doesn't communicate with him. All she said was, I want Aemon's head. And Daemon's thinking, I'm going to do this for my wife. I'm going to do this for the realm. I'm going to do this for the throne. And this is what I'm going to do.
that shows that he doesn't actually respect her. He doesn't really take what she says all that seriously, because if he thinks that his version of it or the way that he interprets what she says is better, that tells me like if she and I that's why I think it was so smart the way that she, finally confronted him and said, you know, do you actually, honor me as the queen? Would you obey me if I was your queen?
Yeah.
And I don't think he does.
I
And
don't
honestly, he
think-
didn't listen to his brother either when he was king.
No.
So it
I
kind of
don't think
fits.
it's so personal with Rhaenyra though, or his brother even. I think it's more of he's just him. He's just gonna keep doing him.
He
he's
thinks he
not-
knows best.
Yeah, that's just what he does. I don't think it's so much as, screw the crown. It's as much as he's a warrior. He's done this before. He's been captain before, and he's shown results in his eyes. So he carries that over into every action that he does.
And
I think it's not so much personal as much as instinct.
no, it's definitely not personal because he treats everybody that way. And
Yeah.
she's now realizing that he's a wild card. She can't trust him to do what
Yeah.
she thinks is best. He's going to do his own thing, and she's going to have to either
Oh, yeah.
figure out a way to corral him or
Mm-hmm.
influence
I
him to
don't
do
think
what
she
she
can.
wants. No, I don't think she can
Yeah.
corral him either. But if she can
And-
influence him a little, because think about what he did. He went and killed the Crab King by endangering himself. He thinks, well, he is. I'll take that back. He is a war hero in that
Yeah.
sense. And he's like, well, she's never seen war, so I know better. I know what we need to do here. And just because
Yeah.
it won one battle doesn't mean it's going to win another battle down the line. And he's being sucked into that trap of thinking his decisions are best instead of discussing them with the entire little small council they have. I almost forgot that term. They would do a lot better off if they all just talked and figured stuff out instead of all just running off half-cocked, doing what they think is going to win this war before it starts.
And if you think about what just happened, really, the crown just got hurt, and they were making a display, and the people, the small,
you talking about the rat catchers?
yeah. The small folk were witnessing that. They had sympathy for the crown. They were here for it, and now, with the rat catchers problem, without him talking to the small council, they directly made a hit to the small folk. So now the small folk, if you don't have your community, the people that you're governing with you, they're gonna go for the opposing side. Rhaenyra and her lineage as crown never did anything directly to the small folk, but Aemon just did. So now they're like, oh, you're killing our husbands. They killed one baby. Rhaenyra killed one baby. Yes, it's heinous. Yes, it's messed up, but you just killed 6 or 7 husbands
Innocent
in your own
husbands.
husbands in your own town, in your own King's Landing. The small folk are now mad. They're done.
And once
And
again,
that was
Otto,
something-
Otto knew it as soon as it happened. He's like, we had everyone pretty much on our side this morning, and you ripped through that all away with this one action. And of course,
Yeah.
He's like, but I got the guy who was guilty, and I showed them not to mess with me. No, you showed them that you're not to be loved and appreciated as a king. You want to be feared, and that's no way to go.
Exactly. It's completely messed up, and I'm sure that's an exact move that Kristen Cole is going to,
That's something, if you remember in Game of
Down.
Thrones, that's something that Marjorie Tyrell also had to point out as well, was
Yeah.
the fact that she had to teach,
Joffrey.
Joffrey and then, eventually his brother, like, no, you don't understand. The people are important. You can't just, mow them down, and you can't treat them like this. Like, she was able to convince him more than Sansa ever was able to.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
that
Sansa-
understanding that's important, too.
Sansa wouldn't have any real influence, though, would she? Because, he hated her anyway. So, yeah.
And then,
But-
we
Now-
had-
was too innocent.
who's too innocent?
Sansa was too innocent. Why I don't know why he would listen to Joffrey would listen to her. She hadn't been through anything. She just came down there from Winterfell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the North, they don't play games like that. They, it's a very thing. They don't have the Game of Thrones, to use their term.
Right.
There where Marjorie grew up in it. She knew all of the ins and outs.
Yep.
So, yeah, she was much better fit to kind of try to get them under reign. But it is funny that
she was a better influence. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's funny that George likes to write kings that are terrible.
Well, I mean, if you look in like our own history, you know, like the world had plenty of terrible kings.
But they also
And,
had
like-
good ones. We did have, not recently, not in recent history, but there were good ones. There had to have been, otherwise they wouldn't have gone as far as they did.
And then
Yeah.
You gotta think
Edward
about how they
Longshanks.
got there.
Yeah, Longshanks. He was
fear.
great.
wait, who did?
Having
Sorry,
the bigger army.
Go ahead, Dad. What were you saying?
I said Edward Longshanks. He was a terrible king, but he was the one who came up with Parliament. So he had his good points too.
Came up with or forced into it?
I think he came up with it. He wanted more opinions.
Huh.
But they didn't show that in the Braveheart movie. They just showed his bad side.
Yeah.
Braveheart was so
Well,
historically inaccurate.
I do
Take
think
that back,
that
Doug.
might overshadow. I think it might overshadow what was going on at that other point. You know what I'm saying?
You know,
What
Yeah.
he was doing. Yeah.
one of the things I did
Just
really
those-
like about this episode is after the Eric and Eric fight,
Oh yeah.
the one
Ugh.
who won just put himself on the sword. Because honestly,
I mean, he
whichever
probably
one it
figured
was,
like there's no way to tell who was who.
I can never be trusted again by my rightful
Yeah.
queen.
Yeah.
Which pretty much said, okay, he was Eric, or whichever
Yeah.
one went with her. I was like, oh man, that's crushing.
I
But I
didn't
did.
want that.
Did the Grey Worm, when she saw and noticed that it was him, did she do anything? I was like, oh, okay, she's gonna announce to somebody, and that's how they're gonna find out. But then it never seemed
No,
like.
she cowered in the corner.
No, she was
no.
walking to the
We're
boat.
still waiting to see what she did. We're still waiting to see what she does with that.
Oh, her. Okay, yeah. I thought you meant Rhaenyra.
Oh no.
Oh wait, no, she didn't, did she?
She was walking to the boat, and then she turned around like she.
Yeah,
noticed
yeah.
it.
She noticed right away.
And I'm like, okay,
But
she
she didn't
deals in
do anything.
information
No,
that we know of. It seemed like she was about to.
I
And then-
thought she was gonna run, but maybe because she maybe she felt like, oh, cool, you'll get your own then, like you get what's coming to you.
I don't think she had any malice intent for Rhaenyra, personally.
I think
I
she has
didn't-
malice intent for like the entire
Royals.
monarchy or whatever.
Nothing
I don't think she
personal.
cares
I
about
hate
anyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
I just thought because Rhaenyra had said, you can. We're sending you back to your home or whatever. She might be. You know what? Maybe I owe her this one thing, and she was going to. I did not think the twins were going to fight. I thought he was going to get caught before that because of her, and then didn't. He
Yeah.
made it all the way to Rhaenyra's room, which I was like,
Oh, we got to have like the Diet Clegane Bowl.
yes, yes.
I was so upset. I was hoping that when he got there, he was gonna change his mind, see how Rhaenyra was and switch sides. Then boom, Rhaenyra's got both of them. But no.
Now she has none of them.
Mhm.
That happens on the other show we're reviewing later.
I thought for sure they were going to go with the old pointing at each other trope where like, no, he's the bad guy. No, he's the bad guy. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't tell them apart. Ah!
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm glad
that
they
was gonna
didn't
be
do, but I thought for sure,
exhausting.
like the minute I saw them both like, circling around and aiming their swords, I'm like, oh, please tell me they're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
And next week's episode starts with Rhaenyra changing the Queen's Guard's uniforms.
Right.
Oh my God.
Something different. It's like, we should use different cloaks and armor than the King's Guard there. Also, I need a new captain of the King's Guard.
Yeah. And then,
I don't know. Go ahead.
seeing Otto and Alicent at the end scheming to get Aegon back under control, that's going to be a very tough climb for them, for anybody, because
Yeah.
he is so set. And with Kristen as the new hand,
Mm-hmm.
he's not going to be a voice of reason in his ear, man. It's going to, which for us, the viewer, that's probably a good thing, because if they solve this, at a peace talk, in Highgarden. That wouldn't be as exciting as seeing armies clash and dragons fight and everything. But
All right, and if you would just sign there and sign there, okay, and good war.
and we're going to give you Dragonstone, and you're also going to get 50 sheep per month from the king to only 50. We need 100 for our dragons. 75. Oh, okay.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
Peace
Okay,
reign
and
throughout
this
the
is,
realm.
this is the proposed dividing line of the ocean. Actually, if we can move it about 30 degrees.
If you think about it, what happened in the first episode is also an example. It's almost like a foreshadowing of they are I'm sorry, for lack of a better word, they're fucking over the small folk.
Oh yeah. Oh, they
Yeah.
definitely.
Screwing.
They're screwing them over. Okay, I already said it
Do
though.
you
Yes.
think this is going to lead to like a mini revolution or some kind of civil war or something?
I think more so just a lot more Rhaenyra supporters. I think when I can't talk about the rest.
No,
But
I don't know. Do you really think they would? Because if
I think they
I
would.
feel like they might end up blaming her more, don't you think? Because like
No.
if they're already blaming her for the murder of the baby, don't you think they're going to connect the dots and be like, well, the king wouldn't have killed the rat catchers had she not sent one to
No,
kill the
because
child or something?
Allison. I'm sorry. I was just excited to say this. My ADD. I think because Allison's a new king, they're not or new queen. They're not accustomed to her. This is her family. This isn't Viserys's family. Rhaenyra
Okay.
is the original heir, and everybody saw it. Everybody saw Viserys's
That is true.
last,
Yeah.
but the only heir he ever acknowledged was Rhaenyra.
Yep.
So for now, they're just accepting it. They're like, what can we do? What can we do for the crown? We can't force them to name Rhaenyra. Whatever's going on. But it's going to get to a point where, okay, the baby died. That's sad. I have sympathy for the crown. Oh, they're killing our husbands now. Okay, now it's personal. And they're raising wages for
Yeah.
war that they created. And now they're taking my food. They're taking my cattle away. All right, now you guys are making me desperate. So when Rhaenyra, when they go to war, she's gonna have a lot more people on her side. And if she becomes, I don't know for a fact. I don't know any answers about this. When or if she becomes queen, she'll have a lot more supporters.
Well,
My
and they could
personal theory-
use. I think Rhaenyra is going to be smart enough to say, you know what? I see what's happening in King's Landing now, right here. And she's going to take advantage of the people being more on her side, whether it's getting troops into King's Landing or just having them do a little uprising to help her with her cause. I mean, this is something that the small folk aren't going to blame her, because even though they think her side killed the baby, they know that the king was the one who killed all those innocent rat catchers just to find one, instead of doing his due diligence. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think she would be able to see this? This is the weakness of this, and I'm not saying this like derogatorily, but this is the weakness that I see with Rhaenyra's camp, is the fact that I don't think her or anybody on her small council has that tactical mindset, has that ability to, think that far ahead. It seems like their main goal is to do what they were going to do before. We need to gather people that support us, and that's about it. We need to, fly the dragons. We need to send scrolls. We need to get these agreements, and it seems like that's what they were doing in the previous season, and that's what they're continuing to do. Okay, fly north. We need to get the Starks. Fly to Harrenhal. We need to get the, the Lannisters or whatever.
Except, you forget one thing. She has somebody, if she didn't get on that ship, that had connections in King's Landing and might be able to work as her agent there. If she didn't leave, if the Grey Worm didn't leave on that ship and stays around and says, I think I can help you, yada, yada, yada.
Maybe.
She would be able to, once again, this plot line isn't going to end with her just getting on a ship and going back to where she came from. I do think
Okay.
we're going to see her, and I think she's going to help Rhaenyra in her battle, only because she was the one who said, you know what, I'm going to honor what my kin said, and I'm going to let you free for what you did, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that endeared her to her because she said, I've always been under the foot of kings and rich people, and I've tried to make my own way, and maybe I just should have stayed a whore. And I think she's going to see that she can help this queen, and it's going to benefit her in the long run.
I'm sorry. There was a space there. But if you think about this, though, Rhaenyra already denies claim to sending someone to go kill, the royals' prince, right? So that's one speech she can and has to make. She said she wanted to tell them. She's like, well, we got to let them know. We got to tell everybody I didn't do this, right? Now, on top of that, with the white worm, she spreads information. She can spread it through the nooks and crannies anyway.
Sure.
But she can make an announcement to the people saying, I never sent anyone to go kill the prince, and they attacked me using the white cloak against me, type. Something like that. And she could just bring that towards her cause. Then the white worm, she might also have a little information she could add into that speech, but she could also get information about how life is going in King's Landing for the small folk, the poorer people. And,
Well, I think that would be a good start, but then when information leaks that the order came from Rhaenyra's camp, whether it came from her or not, the fact that it still came from her camp doesn't help.
No, I'm talking about funneling to Rhaenyra, not from Rhaenyra. I think the white worm is Rhaenyra.
Oh.
See, I think the white worm may be able to get into King's Landing and start influencing people and go, she never sent those people. This is all an inside job. It was not her. And who what happened to the guy who said Daemon Targaryen paid me for this? He's now dead.
Yeah.
So she'll be like, yeah, they say.
So it convinced them that they killed their own child just to spread
I'm not
a
saying
bad rumor?
that, but I'm saying she will be able to convince the small folk, the people in King's Landing, this has nothing to do with Rhaenyra. And
No.
even though they're claiming
I don't
it.
know. So my theory is that after this battle with the the Eric brothers, to me it looks like foreshadowing of things falling apart, of like, this is one piece of the puzzle that we've just misplaced. Now things are gonna start crumbling even further. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, and we got crumbling on both sides. I mean, naming Kristen Cole Hand is not going to make things better in their camp. We do see both camps starting to break away from each other and have tangents, and it's not going to help either camp. So it'll be interesting to see who can bring people back.
And King's Landing is a
consolidate.
total shit show too.
Yep.
So, that is without a doubt.
I think the Greens really just kind of threw themselves, though. I think they're not going to continue to keep doing as well as they are. I feel like the Blacks, they're going to start, they might just start doing things. They've been doing things by the book this whole time, staying out of war, trying to be as clean as possible, but I feel like they might use the white worm, or even just the crowd of people who are desperate. I think they might use that to their advantage and might be a little sneakier about things moving forward. But it really just depends.
They would have to, I guess.
Rhaenyra isn't a sneaky person. She's one of those, she's like her dad, where she does things either by the book or just whatever the right thing is to do, she's going to go out of her way to do it. And she thinks she's right for the crown. So I think there's got to be some other character. Rhaenys, I could see her influencing Rhaenyra or Corlys, but I'm hoping Rhaenyra just kind of comes to her own.
Yeah,
But
they
there's
did
gotta
have a
be
nice
something.
moment. I liked that.
I feel like there's got to be someone else who's going to be coming in no matter what. Because even so, like, she could do it on her own. She could change. But I feel like there's got to be someone else, something else to, like, incite that change, to, like, bring
She
it
needs
forth.
that.
To show her, like, hey, it doesn't have to be like this. Maybe another love interest or something along that line.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think that would be an interesting plot. I think that would be fun to see her like switching gears a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then acting a little differently going forward. Yeah.
And you're
Honestly,
definitely
like,
right about out of all of the people, she would make the best ruler overall. She's the most level-headed. Like Aegon is obviously we see he's too young and hasn't been, seasoned enough for it. Where she has, she would make a great ruler. And
I don't think she would hang a bunch of people on the castle walls.
she would
No,
not.
she wouldn't. She would not. She'd probably go looking and doing investigations because she doesn't want to sporadically kill. She wants it to be personal. If someone like Aemon, like with Aemon, she doesn't want all of the Greens dead. She wants Aemon and Aemon alone. It's a personal thing. So if it were to happen to her, I could see her doing interviews and getting as much information as she could before she just goes and kills a rat catcher. She's going to make sure it's the right one.
Like a Dexter thing.
Like a Dexter thing, yeah. I mean,
all
they're all
all they had to do was talk to Sir Hound, and he would have told them who kicked them.
Yeah. You'd be like, I got you right now.
You know what? I tell you what, that poor puppy. That his master was the last thing that he did was kick him, and he's whining at the sight of his master hanging.
I mean, who's to say that he treats the dog like that all the time?
Fair,
once the
but
dog's loyal,
you don't
they're
know.
loyal.
That guy did
You
not
don't know.
deserve that dog. Is what I'm trying to say.
You're right.
Yeah,
That doggy was too good for him,
he was.
and he was
Always.
the best boy.
He was the best. He was there when he was dead. He was a good boy.
Yeah.
I want a dog like that.
That would
I'll
be
take
nice.
him. I'll take him home. I won't kick him.
Well, I would hope not. That's like the bare minimum of dog ownership. And don't kick them. Darn it.
Dang. I
So
was gonna
before
do
we
it.
release this dog into your care, are you going to kick him? Yes, all
I
the
mean, I
time.
might a little bit.
No. I don't want to break the rules.
What's gonna happen is you gonna turn into a gremlin at midnight. What's gonna
Only if you
what
feed him
happens
after
if I
midnight.
kick him? Oh,
Or if
okay.
you get him, if you dribble water on him.
Well, then he just multiplies.
They
Then eating
multiply,
after
yeah.
midnight, he turns
You'll-
into the bad thing. But
You
speaking
don't
of
want- you
gremlins,
don't want-
gremlins after midnight, we end with Alicent kind of
Yeah.
being pretty upset with Kristen Cole.
Oh
then-
yeah, she was very, very upset.
And then-
She
I don't know why they keep showing us sex scenes with Alicent and Kristen. I don't care anymore. I didn't care.
Hottie.
I didn't care. You know? I didn't care. Like, I don't think it's hot. I don't think it's. I just
I
don't.
just think it goes to show Kristen as the kind of hypocrite that he is. He's yelling
Yeah.
about a dirty cloak when the guy had to
Yeah.
go through the mud, but he's willing to continue to go back to Alicent and break his oath without any care whatsoever. And it is really
So
showing what he is as a whole.
I assume being the hand means that he's not in charge of the King's Watch anymore.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't be.
So that's the way I took it. I took it as I've got a new job now, so therefore I'm allowed to sleep with you now.
I mean, I guess that does. He still took a lifelong oath, though.
He did.
It does still check, but yeah. I mean, at this point, though, I feel like everyone knows. What's the point? I don't know.
Right, that's what I was saying. It's like come on, who in the castle doesn't realize what's going on?
Right.
Come on.
Especially, like, the servants know. Like, but that's the thing. I can understand why Alicent doesn't want her to know, because he's supposed to be watching the prince, the queen. He's the queen's. He's supposed to be with the queen, not the dowager queen.
Oh, that's what I'm like. Oh, he was no.
Well,
No.
think about it. Yeah, if it gets out, he's going to be the one that's blamed for the death, and that's going
Be
to
like,
cause
where were you?
a lot of turmoil within King's Landing.
Oh, do you
Yeah.
think if Aegon finds out about that?
I don't think Aegon.
Yeah.
I think
I think Aegon do. I think he's smarter than he looks. I think he'll understand. He'll put the pieces together. Like, you were supposed to be watching my wife. My wife was with my kids.
My sister wife.
My sister wife was with my kids. How did they get in? You weren't watching them. You were having sex with and then having sex with somebody's mom is already a diss, you know? And then to completely abandon your post, and now that guy's kid is dead. You know what I'm saying? It kind of tumbles down. I think Eamon would be absolutely livid, and I want to see that. I want
Either.
What livid? What livid?
Absolutely livid.
There you go.
Either he'll figure it out on his own, or this is going to be Otto Hightower's move. This is what he'll do to get the king back under control.
I don't think it'll be Otto, because you know why? It makes his daughter look bad. It'll be Larys. He wants to probably be the hand, and he will be the one who maybe spells it out.
I could see that.
Because that's going to make Allison look bad. It's going to make Kristen look bad. And I do
that would be interesting, and I want that to happen.
That would be such a huge move to not only kind of isolate the king away from his own mother, because what better way than to completely disparage the former, your new hand, the former hand, and your mother, and now he's he becomes a new hand, and he also is like the only one that Aemon is going to trust.
Yeah.
Especially when he says, remember, your dad tried to do this, and I told you the right thing. Your mother was doing this with Sir Kristen Cole. I'm the one who brought you this information. I'm
the one who figured this out. You can trust only me. I've got your back.
I know what's going on, and I'll fill you in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a really quick question. What was Jon Snow's name at the end of Game of Thrones?
Aegon Targaryen.
That's what I thought. So it's the same. Was he?
They repeat
the third
names.
Of his name?
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
What was he? The third of his name or something?
I think the fourth. Let me see.
Yeah, I think there was. There was an Aegon who was known as Egg, who was never king. He was like.
Because I just thought that name. It was bothering me. Like, I know that name was Jon Snow's name, but I never went back and looked. And I was like, wait a minute.
Fourth of his name.
That's a long question.
He was. Hold on.
We're holding.
Aegon the Sixth.
The sixth in 100 years. 172 years, I guess.
Hold on. I might be wrong. I can't recognize this real quick.
Doug wasn't kidding. He really had to go somewhere.
Yeah,
he's off.
Oh, yeah. He was the sixth. He was sixth. Sixth of his name.
That just played out so wrong.
Yeah. It did. It made no sense. It made no sense at all. That's why you need to watch House of the Dragon. It's good. I just think you need to catch up. You gotta catch up.
Yeah, I gotta catch. I didn't watch this week's, but I intended to, but it's been a weird week.
Well, wait, you finished the first season already?
No.
Well, there you go. You're not gonna catch.
But I started watching the second season when I was over. Yeah, I was over at Grandma and Grandpa's watching that second season premiere.
You can't watch the second season and not know what's going on.
I liked it better than what I saw in the first season.
I know, but you
how much of the first season did you watch? Did you only watch one episode?
3.
You gotta get past.
So you got like 7 left. Watch those 7.
Yeah.
They don't know where I am.
Just finish it. Get it out of the way. There's stuff you need to know. Then you can have these conversations with us.
I could have, if I would have watched this week, I would have been able to be in this conversation.
No, you wouldn't, because there's still we're talking about stuff that happened in season 1. You don't remember. You don't know. We did a
I
little
love it. I love it when you guys get all deep like that. I love it.
Now, maybe when
Hey,
Doug
man.
returns,
That's the
we
kind of show I like.
and that's what I mean. Really, George does with his writing. It's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's so good to read. It's not easy to see, even though I was very shocked that somebody figured out that Jon Snow was a Targaryen well before it was revealed in the books. That theory was going around. But man, it wasn't like, well, too easy to spot. The clues were there, but they were subtle. It wasn't, right in your face.
It was,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
later.
subtle, but also not so subtle. You could tell, he's already an orphan.
Yeah, when you watch it the
Orphan
second
is-
time, when you watch it the second time, it's obvious to you,
Yeah.
right? But not the first time through. You're not going to catch that.
No, not at all. But we should have, because I never thought about it twice, at least in my perspective. I never questioned, well, whose orphan is he? Whose orphan son is this? I didn't think about it. But if you're a little more, there, I don't know, with it, where you're trying to poke holes and stuff, you're going to be like, oh, no, he belongs to somebody. Who is it? It would make sense if he's a Targaryen, because that would make him a little more special than the other ones.
And when you find
And
out
he
that
is-
his sister was in love with like Rhaegar, and all of the things that, and the fact that Ned Stark was such a tremendously honorable man, yet he was
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, this is my bastard son," blah blah, and
But we then
Yeah.
find out later that it wasn't his bastard son at all. Like,
Right.
I don't know.
no, but
how
that's what I
long-
mean. It was out of character for him to have a bastard son,
Yeah.
but he knew that protected Jon, his sister, and everybody else because the baby was obviously, I forget, was it Liliana or something, and then Rhaegar. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
what season did that start? Did they have the episodes showing that whole instance? I thought that was
The
season
first time they showed us anything about it was when Rand started, learning how to go back in time.
Okay, so that's a later season then. I thought it was earlier than that when they were showing Ned.
I think it was like the middle, the middle of the series. I want to say it was like season 6 or something. It was. I think it was when he was before he met the children in the forest. It was either like right around, because I want to say, didn't it happen before the Hodor thing?
it definitely happened before
Yeah.
the Hodor thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember exacts anymore. It's
Is
been
it-
a while.
That he was dropping the clues early on. So is what I'm trying to say. So if they, he's definitely doing it in this show. You just don't know what to look for yet.
I think, isn't it like in the first episode when John is like heading off to the wall, and he says, and one day, John, I'll tell you about your parents.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
you won't. No, you
Yeah.
won't.
Well,
They
he got his
were
head chopped
hinting
off.
at
He
it.
couldn't.
But he
Wasn't his
wanted to.
fault.
Well, should we
I-
rate this episode, you guys?
Yeah.
Did you have something
idea.
else you wanted to add there, Miss Sierra?
No, I just was thinking about how they set up House of the Dragon and how they set up Game of Thrones. And at first, I didn't understand why they did Game of Thrones before House of the Dragon, but I could see it now. I could see it now because, if we were to start off with House of the Dragon, I don't think it would hit off as harsh as Game of Thrones did. And Game of Thrones included all the families; they were all a major player in this show. So I think the way they did it was correct. Just the way they ended Game of Thrones sucked. But yeah.
I'm really
That's-
hoping.
You
that's
know what
all.
hooked me on Game of Thrones? Ned Stark. Ned Stark and his family. That's what hooked me on that show. That's why I wanted to keep watching.
Yeah.
I was watching a documentary that was talking about that the original pitch for a Game of Thrones show was originally done in the, I think it said the like late 90s. That was when it was like
wow.
originally pitched, and it was kind of like shopped around, and it took a while before it was ever picked up by anybody. Finally, like HBO did, they shot an entire pilot that turned out to be terrible after they, let people view it, and they ended up like recasting everybody and reshot the whole thing.
Hmm.
Huh.
I don't know, but I believe it.
So
Good thing
it
they
could be
did it
that
right.
I don't know when Fire and Blood was written, but it could be that the main reason they did Game of Thrones first is because it was just there before Blood and Fire was. It's better for it, but you know.
Yeah.
You guys
All
should
right.
start rating it. We're never going to get to the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. Who's rating first?
I'll go first. You know, once
All right.
again, I enjoyed this episode. It's really setting up things for later down in this second season. A lot of things to come. You know, we got excellent sort of character development with, you know, with what's going on with Damon, what's going on with Aegon, Kristen Cole, the Hand, Laris. There's so many things kind of, even though we don't get all of the great families that we got from Game of Thrones, there's so much going on just within King's Landing and Dragonstone that it's really interesting and wondering how this is all going to go. And then, of course, you know, we get the Valerians. We get their little 5 minutes on every episode. But it's just really has me completely hooked. I want to know. I can't wait for the next episode. You know, even the Eric and Eric fighting, they ended it so much better than how any twin thing usually ends. I thought it was excellent that after the end, he's like, they're never going to be able to trust me, and he falls on his own sword, even though the queen was against it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
I enjoy the music they're playing. I enjoy the sets. Everything looks nice. They do a good job. And I think this is only going to keep building as the season grows. And I'm going to give this episode a 8.23345. I think it's only going to get better from here, but I definitely enjoyed this episode.
Okay.
Excellent. Sierra, do you
Yeah.
want to go
Who's next?
next, or do you want me to?
You can go next. I gotta think.
All right. So, yeah, I enjoyed this episode too. I thought it was really, you know, for the most part, really good. I'm still, overall, I'm still struggling to find anybody. I'm kind of, like I said, I'm in the same boat as Dave. I'm struggling to find anybody that I actually like, that I'm actually rooting for in this series. Rhaenyra won me over a little bit. You know, like I truly did feel for her, especially towards the end. Like, I mean, just everything kind of like shattering in front of her all when she just lost her son, and now like one of her only confidants, she's realized that her husband is doing his own thing and doesn't really have her back. And so it's like she's probably now wondering, okay, who can I trust? If you know somebody can sneak in and pretend to be my head of the guard and nobody picks up on this, nobody notices it, like what's going to happen next? Like, is there going to be some other assassin? Like, you really do feel for her in that moment, and I thought that was great. Also juxtaposed against Aemond, where now he's kind of in a similar boat where he's lost his son. He's incredibly, like I think Sarah pointed out perfectly, the way that he was displaying his emotion. Kudos to the actor for portraying that so well. That was such an outstanding job. I mean, and he acted the way that I would expect somebody who was you know, young, just lost their nephew's son to you know, a brutal attack. And I just, you know, I thought like pretty much everything in this episode was acted perfectly. Everybody is like just the worst human being imaginable. The fact that they showed how quickly these political maneuvers and planning can just go wrong like that with somebody making a stupid call. You know, I thought it was done really well. I'm gonna give this episode, I'd say it's a good, healthy 7.5 out of 10. Thought it was pretty darn good overall. You know, I still think that it could have been better, and it would have helped if I would have had somebody a little bit more to root for, other than just literally watching them all at each other's throat.
You're not just rooting for chaos?
No, you know, I'm eventually probably gonna have to. That's what it's turning into.
All right. I don't know. I think it didn't hit me the same way as the first episode did. You know, it's kind of like having your first drink of something and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever." You got to drink it again. It's a little less so. It's kind of like that. I don't think it's any worse. You know, I don't think it's any worse. it was a little diluted for me. I do appreciate, how the plot line's progressing. I think the dialogue is pretty perfect. Again, the acting, I think they got all the elements for a really good show so far. And I think that I wouldn't say that in season 1 as much as I would say that so far in season 2. Only 2 episodes in, things could change. But as of right now, I think they're really proving themselves to me. And not that I'm anyone, but I think the emotions displayed for these characters are going very well. I like the way they do them is going very well, is what I mean. I would say I enjoyed seeing Rhaenyra a lot more, and her and Jay. I was waiting, like, I don't know, just her and Eric. I was waiting for that twin to go over there. I was just hoping it'd turn out differently, but that was interesting to see. I kind of figured after he killed his twin, and like when they started fighting, I'm like, if one of them dies, they're gonna have to kill themselves. That's just the way it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate. I really didn't want that to happen. I was like rooting, like maybe they'll do something different, but no. So I was a little let down by that. I was let down by Daemon. I'm hoping there's more of the White Worm. I hope she has a bigger part to play. I like how they kind of left it open-ended. But the episode, it wasn't so much boring for me as much it just diluted, like I said. So I'd say, I think last time I gave it about an 8.8, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a 9. So I'd say about a 7.5 for this.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought that was going to be lower after your synopsis.
What do you mean? Lower?
Just seemed like you were a little more disappointed than a 7.5.
I'm
That's
disappointed with how the plot transgressed, but I'm not disappointed with the acting, the dialogue, the visuals. I'm not disappointed with a lot of things, and the plot's gonna go the way it needs to go. So I can't really rate it on that. I can't be upset with the story. It's what's happens is what happens.
So it's perfectly balanced, as all things should be.
Yeah, I don't want to
discredit.
I don't want to discredit the actors or the writers for this one.
Thank you, Thanos.
Dad, while we're on air, I just want this to happen. Give me a phone call real quick where I'm tangent time. This is for Keith, this is for Doug, this is for you. So go ahead. Give me a call real quick.
You want them to hear the ringer?
Yeah. Yes, that too.
Oh.
I recently changed my ringtones and I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
Okay, let's everybody hear her ringtone.
All right.
Can you hear it? Oh, you couldn't hear it, could you?
No.
Oh,
Okay. Try again now.
well, that was fun.
Couldn't hear it, could you? Okay, do it.
Hey. Calling again.
No.
Your microphone's not picking it up.
It's Somebody Save Me. It's Smallville.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
It's just
Now,
that.
YouTube's algorithm is like automatically blocking it,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
very cool. I like it.
Like the chip that Google's installed into our heads, it doesn't allow us to hear it because it's copyrighted.
Yeah, I gotcha. So, you guys are about to talk about Acolyte. I will be disappearing, but I do have I have a question. Because I haven't watched Acolyte. I don't care to. I'm not hearing
That's
good
fine.
things.
You're not missing
But-
anything.
You're not a huge Star Wars fan. That's fine.
I mean, I was until the last 3 movies, and then I was like, nah, everything leading up to it doesn't matter anymore. But unless they make an alternate timeline, then I'll be interested again. But
They won't.
did you guys see the diss track to the fans that Amandla
we
discourse?
We talked about that.
Yeah,
Amandla Stenberg, is that her name?
Amandla Stenberg.
It was
Yeah,
catchy.
we've seen it.
I didn't think so. I hated it. I hated it so much. I hate everything she said. Well, not everything she said. She's going after the journalist, which she should be going after the
I
journalist.
said the same thing. Yeah.
But the rest of it, I think, was uncalled for. I think she
with the
just...
hate and stuff she's gotten on social media, I don't blame her one bit.
Right.
The chorus was catchy. Going after the journalist was right. But, she was what any artist does. She's just what's going on in her life. She's going to, write about it and stuff.
Express it in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with Sierra on that. I didn't like it at all.
Why are you going after the fans because they don't like something that you guys are very...
It's not just because they don't.
the
It's
story.
not because they don't like it. They've been going after her and being.
They've been leaving
extremely
incredibly
racist.
racist messages on Twitter.
So.
Well, if that's the case, if they're directly saying things to her, I could get
They
that.
are.
But if she's going for all the fans like they said she was,
No, I don't
she's
think
not.
she is.
She's going
No,
after
I
the
listened.
ones
It
that
didn't
have.
sound like I didn't take it that way because, the people that she was calling out were specifically the people that were, like saying hateful things to her, and since that doesn't apply to me, it didn't offend me.
Well, she did come at... Well, I don't want to say come at, but she did mention, like, she wasn't saying only those people. She wasn't saying the Twitter hacks or whatever. She was saying white people. She wasn't only talking about them. She was talking directly to white people.
I took it as the white people that have been coming at her. I didn't, as a
Yeah,
white
yeah.
person,
that's the way
I didn't think
interpreted
she was
it.
talking to me. And
Well, the
like
way
we've talked
you
about,
took it is though we don't know how she meant it.
True.
Right.
That's also true.
And
Yeah.
she mentioned something in the song about her ancestors for over 400 years having to deal with that. So we can only assume, going based off that comment, which there's nothing wrong with that comment specifically, but if you go based off that, she is talking to all white people.
No, she's not talking to all white people. She's talking to anyone who has treated her or her ancestors in a bad way because of her race.
Okay, I could see it that way.
I don't think
could see
either
it that
of you
way.
are right or wrong. I think you both can have your own opinion.
Well, we can. We definitely can have our own opinion. That's why we talk
And-
about it.
My
Oh
opinion-
no! You guys didn't see the updated terms and services of Not Your Status Quo LLC. No,
Oh crap! We're blocking the whole main event
yeah,
tonight.
we eliminated freedom of speech. You're not allowed to do that anymore. It's not allowed. I
And once
decided.
again, any
Nice.
piece of art is up to interpretation.
Yes,
Somebody
yeah,
writes
that's-
something, it's how they feel and how we interpret it based on our lives and interactions and stuff is always going to be different. I definitely don't think anyone's wrong when they disagree with me, unless they don't root for the Packers, and then they just don't root for a good football team.
And I read that
Well,
she wrote and filmed this in 3 days.
Probably. I wouldn't be shocked. She's pretty talented. But I don't my opinion is not concrete in any swinging way.
Neither is
I
mine.
can
Swinging.
be any swinging way. Yes. You can convince me. Like you could change my mind on her message there, and I do understand your perspective where you didn't take it that way, and that's not how you think she meant it, and she probably didn't, but she also didn't make a statement. But I can
That is true.
consider
She did not. Yeah.
I can consider your point of view on that and how it does actually, it makes sense. And I tend to swing towards, my opinions swing towards whatever makes more sense, whatever makes the most sense and is least amount of overdramatic as possible. So, I mean, that makes sense to me, what you were saying.
You know what that's called, Sierra? That's
Huh?
called Occam's razor.
Occam's razor?
Yeah, that's when the simplest solution is probably the right one.
That's
That's what that
a
means.
philosophy I stand by.
And once-
That's something I agree with.
It's one thing. It's so funny to me, the whole discourse over the Acolyte. It is absolutely okay to not like something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, none of us liked Rise of Skywalker. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't go on social media and attack any of the actors.
Right.
For the most part, if people are saying how much they like Rise of Skywalker, I don't jump into their mentions. I don't start telling them they're wrong. I myself
Even though
will
they
never
are.
watch. Yeah, even though they are. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. But
I mean, sure, maybe I found out where J.J. Abrams lives. Sure, maybe I camped outside of his house and possibly, allegedly, you know, there's a restraining order against me via J.J. Abrams. But I didn't say anything mean to him on Twitter, so.
And it's just how you react. It's so much, you know, there's so,
Yeah.
and it's both sides on this show. There's so few people who I think, not to brag, not your status quo, but are the only ones like in the middle. There's people that are like, it's absolute garbage.
It is
I
the
can't
greatest
stand it.
thing ever. It is a true piece of art, and then everybody else,
Yeah.
it is the most flaming garbage I've ever seen in my life.
And it's neither of those things, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not.
it's
We're
because
just like, it's pretty mediocre.
It's very rare that something is that bad. Like, it's very rare that you get a Rebel Moon. You know, you don't get anything that bad that often.
Right?
And once
Well,
again, I have not
neutrals-
jumped into any mentions of Zack Snyder's to tell him how much I think of it, because
Neither
he probably
have I.
doesn't care.
Neutral opinions don't get views. I can tell you that much. That's most likely why they would go that far. Not saying you guys. You know, I'm not talking about this channel whatsoever. It's a very refreshing to have the opinions that we have on here, because, like I just said, you don't get views that way, because what they do is, this is the worst, most vile piece of crap ever. And I think that's what's unique about this channel, is that you don't do that, and that is good. That's awesome. Like,
So
in general, it's refreshing, because everyone else out there is doing, it's awful or it's the best, and that's just exhausting personally.
I will say there's one other channel that seems to be kind of in the same boat as us.
Yeah.
And that is Red Letter Media. They put out a video today calling out these other channels and pointing out, like, they put up a bunch of thumbnails of all these channels and saying these are literally clickbait for hate.
Yeah.
And they're doing it on
spreading
purpose
hate.
because it gets views.
Yeah. And it sucks. It's like you can't trust the opinions of these people, and everything is always an extreme. This is an extreme good or an extreme bad, and it's mostly always bad. It's always usually bad. So it's like, at first you think, okay, this might be a real opinion, and then you can't trust it. You don't know that they actually feel that way. They just need to check. They just need to check that week. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just refreshing when it comes to this. You can have a debate, you know.
Thank you. That's very nice.
We disagree on not everything. We're pretty close on some things, but we do disagree on certain things. And you know,
hey, up yours.
Hey,
like
up mine, up yours.
Like, I think Madam Web was pure and absolute art, and that, you know, it needed to get Oscars and Emmys for everything. And you know what? In fact, I don't even want to talk about the Acolyte. I'm going to go watch Madam Web.
No.
Right, well,
You're wrong.
I noticed
You are
that
wrong.
isn't unwrapped, Doug. So I have a hard time believing that.
Well, that's
So
because
the guy-
I bought the digital copy on.
That's what I was gonna say. You got the digital copy.
Yeah, with the cut scenes, and you know, there's. It turns out there's an entire scene that we didn't even get to see in the movie where she drives that taxi.
To
Oh
Peru.
my
Wait, there's a
God.
scene
Michael
that
Keaton
makes.
on the hood.
There's a scene that was deleted that makes sense of everything that happened in that movie.
Right. Yeah,
Greatest scene ever.
and they cut it.
Oh my gosh. But, all right, guys. I think I'm going to depart, but I will be in the chat. You know, you guys.
Thank
can
you
talk.
for giving us your insight and your wisdom on House of the Dragon.
And before-
Always appreciate it.
Before you go, yes, we definitely
Yeah.
appreciate it. We're probably not going to be on next week,
Yeah,
so we
Okay.
hope you can join us in 2 weeks.
I'll be there.
Excellent,
No
excellent.
problem. As long as House of the
Um,
Dragon's on, or if you guys need any anime, I'm here. I'm always down to talk about anime.
Well, when things
No,
slow
that
down, we're probably going to be picking up the anime watching again, so we will.
We were talking about doing Death Note once things start to slow down a bit.
Do it. I already told my dad on the phone. Do it. It's good. It's really good.
Mhm.
But all right, guys. I will see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace out.
Peace out.
There.
Oh, you know what? I
You
should
guys are a
turn.
lot bigger.
I should turn on the Arabesh.
Oh, do you have it queued up?
I do. We're queued up and ready to go.
At you, Keith. Wow. You know what? One of these days, what I'd like to do, and maybe I'd just like, do it tonight. I want to go ahead and add a little purple rectangle right above our TikTok at.
Okay.
That way we can actually read the comments from the chat because they're so hard to see.
Yeah, we need a different background. You're right. That's a good call. So, we are now talking The Acolyte, Episode 5, Night. Which, much better episode than the weeks before.
It's not saying much, but sure.
It is not saying anything at all. But there was...
But how clever of them to name the next show Night after they had Day as the last one. That's so clever.
So
they
clever.
really outdid themselves. Nobody saw that coming. Which seems to be the mantra for
the
this show.
The theme of this show. Nobody saw it coming. God.
Yeah.
I have never...
Except everybody saw.
They really, Doug was talking before we went on, and this show has really done a disservice by saying it's a big mystery.
Yeah.
Because there's been nothing that has really, honestly, we all were saying, Quymere was the Sith. Episode 2. As soon as we met him.
Yep.
We just had red flags. Then I'm thinking, they're making it so much it's him. He's a red herring. It's going to be somebody else. There's no way this obvious of a person could be it. And
because
then,
we thought the writers were smarter than that.
Well, it's like I said, it's on the same level as Special Investigation. You already knew.
It's not as bad as Special Investigation.
I was about to say,
the twists are on the same level, but at least with this, we get some better acting. We actually, it's a little more interesting at times. This episode, I enjoyed the lightsaber battles. I thought they were well choreographed. They were interesting. Was there enough? Probably not. I enjoyed that they, spoiler alert if you haven't watched, that he basically killed every Jedi except Soul. He was really showing, I think it was Doug that was mentioning earlier, Yord was talking how he doesn't move like anyone he's ever fought before. And they were not prepared for it. And it showed, even just pulling that guy onto his lightsaber when he had already stabbed somebody else.
Right?
I was like...
And by the way, I didn't realize that he had 2 lightsabers. That was a surprise.
That was one surprise that
was a mystery that I didn't expect. There you go. There's our mystery. I didn't know that he had 2 lightsabers.
And the fact, killing Jackie, who Dafne Keen is a big movie star. And I did not, I was like, okay, she's going to kind of put him in his place a little bit. She's going to stand toe to toe with him and he's going to disappear again, kind of like he did when he was fighting Soul. And then all of a sudden to just see, the 3 holes. Yep. I was like,
that's my question. I have a question. She was only impaled, so she should be fine, right?
Well, she was impaled 3 times. If she gets
Slicer, he just went.
If you gut her,
but Dave,
she lives. 3 holes.
This is the High Republic. Lightsabers hurt more.
Oh.
Yeah. These are High Republic lightsabers.
Those yellow ones. Did they pee on those yellow ones, and that's why they're yellow?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Probably.
Now, this was, this was back in the day. They were using bigger kyber crystals. It was before, they started regulating and reining in the, it was back in the good days when they, they could carry around a big heavy-duty lightsaber. No.
Where kyber crystals were almost on every corner store.
That's right. You know what, Keith? I think that's a great idea. I'd like to mention a few things, kind of like a little rapid fire things that I did like in this episode, because you are right. I think it was better than some of the previous episodes. In my opinion, it still wasn't great, but it was slightly better.
Wasn't great. I agree 100%. But
so here are just a few of the things. I'll see if you guys agree with me. For starters, I really like the way that it opened up, showing where he had used his force blast, seeing the marks in the dirt. I really liked that. I thought that was nice. I really liked the fact that he clearly thought ahead. Smilo Ren there. He thought ahead, that he knew that he was going to be fighting Jedi. Whatever sort of armor he had, I don't know what it was made out of, but it did something to their lightsabers.
Are you ready for this? It is canon. It is called Cortosis.
Okay.
It's been canon since 2014. It was featured in the novel New Dawn, which was a Star Wars Rebels novel, and then
Okay.
later used by Timothy Zahn in the Thrawn Alliances. And basically, it shorts out the sabers like that. So it shorts out really
That
any
was
electricity like that.
it was a cool addition. I liked it. I like the fact that he had his like arm braces and clearly his helmet made out of that, because and the way that he was fighting, I love that you're pointed out exactly as you said a minute ago. He points out, he's fighting very chaotically. Like, we don't know what he's doing. He doesn't fight like anybody we've ever faced before. And of course they wouldn't. None of them thought that there were any Sith left, so of course they wouldn't really know how to fight somebody like that in that style when they really only ever practice against each other or the little, droid things that shoot at them. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, from the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
why Han Solo had that in a Millennium Falcon was explained in a comic for Marvel
was that?
Comics. It was Han and Solo. It was Han and Chewie. It was a series. He was doing a mission for Jabba the Hutt, and basically he came across it and just took it, not knowing really what it was. It was actually pretty funny. I'm like, okay, that's
I was
hilarious.
hoping it was going to be something like dumb and boring like that.
It was
Like similar to like how he got his last name. Oh, so have you wondered
Yeah.
like the mystery of how Han Solo, got his last name? Oh, really? What do you got? He was alone. Is there more to it? No. Oh. But do
You
you
know
want
why
to know
that's so
how he
cool?
got a
It's
hold
'cause they're-
of that? Do you want to know how he got a hold of
Why
that
that's
little
so cool?
floating droid thing? Somebody left it there.
No, they didn't leave it there. He was ransacking
Oh.
the house looking for
Oh,
this
he
vase
ran
for
and then
Jabba.
he picked it up and kept it.
He knew it was a Jedi thing, so he took it because he thought it would be worth something
Uh-huh.
he could sell later. He never sold it. And obviously, the writers of the comic were like, somebody was like, "Oh, come on, Solo has this
We
Jedi
need to
thing,"
explain
and he's like, "I'm gonna explain it since no one else has."
And
Whatever.
you know why that's so cool is because it just means that like it doesn't really matter the Han Solo story. There's so much more interesting stuff about Han Solo.
Oh
than this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the Acolyte, going back to this episode, yeah, I agree with you, Keith. I really enjoyed the lightsaber battles. I thought the choreography was good because, and I hate to beat a dead horse, but just going back to the way that Quimera was fighting, just the way that he was kind of pushing and using the Force in order to kind of be able to fight them all one at a time. Because at first I was sitting there watching it and I'm thinking, like, oh man, how is he going to take on all these people all at once? There's no way he's going to win this. They're going to end up defeating him. He's going to get caught. The Jedi are going to make it. They might lose like 1 or 2 red shirts, but they're going to be overall. They're going to be fine. And then when he's like, essentially defeating them one-on-one because he's able to outmaneuver them and fight in a way that they've never seen before. Excellent choreography. Very good. And to the director's credit, to the the showrunner, the writers, to their credit, and I probably won't say this again, they did set up a good twist. I did not expect them to kill off Jackie or Yord.
Yep. That was especially when Sol had told Yord to take Osha and take off. I was like, he's going to take off. And then when Osha forced him to come back, I'm like, they're not going to. Oh, yes, they did. Okay. They have no trouble. And I always enjoy that about a show. Love Dafne Keen. The guy playing Yord, he was really good in this.
I did not expect him to die in such a brutal manner either.
Exactly. And they were unprepared
He had
for
to,
the Sith.
for that guy to call himself Sith. He had to do it. He had to do it in a brutal way.
Well,
the other thing that I really enjoyed going kind of in line with the choreography, I like the way that Sol was able to fight hand to hand. I thought that was a really nice addition because that shows that at least out of the Jedi, at least somebody knows what to do in the event that he doesn't have a lightsaber.
And honestly,
more than just this.
Yeah. And the Jedi being unprepared for being pushed and pulled by a combatant because they probably don't practice that, because we even saw, earlier, was it episode 3 with the flashbacks where we saw that May was really good at blocking.
Oh yeah, May and Osha,
and Osha could not. And I was like, okay, that's a nice touch too. They're doing some things right. And even, one of my favorite things, Manny, I don't want to say his last name because I'm going to screw it up. The guy playing the stranger, Smilo Ren. God, he was so good at jumping back. Like we saw it in the one episode when he was talking to Osha. He sounded very sinister, sort of very in control. And then as soon as the Jedi showed up, he became this sort of meek, sort of, oh, I don't know what's going on. And seeing him come out like this, my favorite line, which was just dehumanizing the Jedi, which is certainly a trick of the Sith, when they were like, and he's just like, wow.
After he'd killed Jackie.
That's its name?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh my God, dude. He's trying to push him over. He's trying to use, any dark side thing he can use to kind of get in their heads. I was like, that was nice.
I like the way that he was like turning things around on Soul too. And he goes, she was only a child. And he goes, you brought her here. It's kind of on you, bud. And it's like, oh, yeah, he's right. You're out of line, but you're right.
and I hate to say this, but I can't wait for more flashbacks because obviously Smilo Ren knows Soul, has had some interactions with him because he is very much saying he has lied to you. There's things you don't understand about his past and things he's hiding. And he was telling Osha that. And I'm like, okay, we're going to see something. It's probably going to be around the time the May set the fire and all that stuff. But he was there. I'm convinced. I had said before, I think there may have been, a dark side user or something there to kind of push the witches and the Jedi against each other that caused, all the deaths. And I think it's going to be him. And I think there's going to be a lot more to this story that the Jedi did that they are not happy.
Well, now are you sure about that? Because, we also thought that they wouldn't be so, that they would be so quick to make him the Sith Lord. So
True.
I will accept more flashbacks only if it's not an entire episode.
Is he a Sith Lord though?
Well,
I mean,
he call me Sith.
Yeah, he's not saying whether he's the master or not.
But this is what he actually said. He did not say, I am a Sith. He said, I have no name, but Jedi like you might call me a Sith.
Okay, that's fair.
Not a Sith. He didn't say a Sith. He just said Sith.
Sith, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which could this be?
Meaning,
get ready, get your fishing pole out, Dave. Get your foot over the brakes.
Oh,
I thought
okay.
when he said that, it triggered something, some synapses in my brain. What if he is like one of the Knights of Ren, an early version of it? He doesn't consider himself a Sith, doesn't consider himself a Jedi, because not only would that make sense that there's other sort of dark side users or Force users, because he wasn't really, even though he dabbled in the Force, in the dark side of the Force, I don't think he was limited to only use it. And I think maybe he was more...
Are you talking about because he used healing powers?
Yes, exactly. He showed
Okay.
healing. He showed dark side powers. So I don't think he's Sith. I think he's more of something different that may transform into the Knights of Ren somewhere down the line, which is, once again, would Sith, the Sith have been gone for millennia that we got in the Phantom Menace.
I'm gonna lightly tap on the brakes because I think in a better show that's exactly what they would be setting up, but I don't think that's gonna happen in this show.
And it certainly may not. That just hit me when the way he said that. I was like, okay, he's not claiming to be one. He's just saying that's what you guys think I am, because I'm different than you. And we know Jedi.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like to label everything that's not a Jedi and a Force user as being something evil or bad.
Mm-hmm. I have a more boring theory, if you'll indulge me.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But it goes in line with what you just said, that he just doesn't want the label. It could be, this is my theory, that he doesn't want to consider himself a Sith because he doesn't want to limit himself to their rules. By this point, they've already established the rule of two, and I don't think he wants to live by that. My assumption would be that May is kind of like a trial. He wants to see, okay, can I train up an acolyte? Can I do that? And I think he wants to kind of make his own coven adjacent thing where he's training up other people. That would be my guess,
So
because it seems like
he almost wants prior to the rule of two, when there was hundreds.
Yeah,
the
that's
Sith
what
order
I
was a
think.
lot like the Jedi order. There was
And so that's why I don't think he wants the label of a Sith, because he doesn't want to be held to whatever rules or standards they have.
Yeah, didn't he say that on the show? That Jedi have all these rules and I don't want it.
Yeah,
I
yes,
can't
he
break
did.
rules because I don't have rules.
And
So I
one
think
of
he would
the
be limited by the Sith rules as well.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. And one of the things that I was telling Keith earlier that I wish they would have leaned a little bit heavier into, and maybe they will. Maybe they will now that we're talking about it. But I kind of wish that they had leaned more heavy into his chaotic nature, because the way that Yor describes like his fighting style, for instance, and the way that he's kind of describing this, I don't want to live by rules. I don't want to do this. I want that to be more of his personality, because the line that Keith mentioned, that's like, agree, excellent line, when the way that he referred to Jackie is, oh, that's her name, or no, that's its name.
Its name. Yeah.
Yeah, the perfection. I loved it. I wish that they would have leaned heavier into that, and I wish that he would have been as dismissive about like everything else. Because I was telling Keith, I think a perfect follow-up. Actually, I think I told both of you in the Slack group.
Yeah, it wasn't Slack.
I think the perfect follow-up to that was if he was as equally dismissive to May. And I think they should really, I know obviously this show is, was filmed like 3 years ago or whatever, but it would have been nice if, and they could potentially still lean heavier into, make him like the Joker of the Star Wars universe.
Hey, that smile did a lot for
Yeah, yeah. That was good. That was good. I like that.
Now, here's another theory for you.
All right.
While we're talking about Smilo Ren, the stranger, what if he was a former apprentice of like Darth Tenebris, who was Plagueis's master, and he left him for that same reason? He was being pigeonholed, like Dave said. He's being pigeonholed into these certain rules by the Sith. Jedi do the same thing, so he's trying to create something different. And maybe, he got away from his master. Maybe we'll see his master show up hunting him too, at some point. Like,
he's an earlier unlikable Balin.
Yeah. I don't think he's unlikable. Well, I shouldn't say that. He's unlikable, but he's a great character.
Yeah, he's a good character. He's just, he's freely killed some innocent people. That's what I mean by unlikable.
Yes, he does like to murder people. But
he doesn't hold back. He has an idea. He just takes care of it.
And maybe he's trying to get, not just one acolyte like Doug was talking about, but others, because he knows that his former master isn't going to let him roam free throughout the galaxy, especially exposing himself to gotta be a better way to say that, letting now that the Jedi know
letting his identity be known.
Yes, thank you, much better. Now that his identity is known to the Jedi, if he did have a former master who was a Sith, he's not going to be happy about it, because they like to lie in shadows. They weren't ready to reveal themselves as of yet. So we may see, Dave just gone, him trying to get acolytes and students to help him in what he knows is coming, and it's a vengeful former master. Just something to think about. Then, should we talk about the other twist that I was like, this is not good. Why are they
Are you talking about when they switched places?
Yes. When they did the Parent Trap.
Sorry, I had a dog problem. But yeah, I agree. Like, when she did that, that's all it's going to take to get her hair to look exactly like the other one. Just one swipe of lightsaber.
Right. I'm going to be that guy for just a minute. All right. I'm going to be pedantic.
You're not going to say they all look alike. Please don't tell me. Please don't.
No. God,
okay,
no. Jesus. Come on. No. I'm going to be that Star Wars nerd. So, actually, here, this will help. Forgot. I got it.
I was going to do the thing.
All right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, ready? Ready? Actually, that's not the way that lightsabers work. If she had gotten it that close to her face, it would have melted her flesh, okay?
The heat off of the lightsaber would have melted her face.
Lightsabers should be very hot. Did you see Qui-Gon Jinn in episode 1 stick his lightsaber into a steel door and melt a hole into it? It probably should have melted her face.
But it wasn't in her
Well, only if
face.
it touched.
It was close. It cut the hair. Right there at her bangs.
Well, it just
There we
cut
go.
the long hair. See, I just think what I hope happens.
I'm being pedantic.
Yes, I know. What I hope happens, because when I watched the episode again, when Sol was taking May with him, he didn't say.
You think he knows?
He didn't say, "Where's May?" He said, "Where's your sister?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he knows, but the way they left it, like he didn't know. And I was thinking, is this our Jedi really, so long ago? Are they just that oblivious to the world, or to me it would have been obvious. She was acting differently.
Yeah.
She was a lot
Also-
more apprehensive. Even the first sentence she said to him would be something that she wouldn't normally say to him. So he could have figured it out right there.
The other giveaway was neither of them mentioned anything about their dead friends laying around. They just said, okay, let's go to the ship. So to me, that's a giveaway, because I don't think Sol or Osha would just leave their bodies laying there without saying
Here's
something.
another thing.
And Osha would
had-
have said something about her new friend, Jackie being dead.
Yeah, and that's the thing we hadn't spoke about yet. Is that last episode she was thinking, all right, I'm gonna surrender to the Jedi,
Yeah.
and then Jackie shows up and she fights her. That didn't make
that
sense
was
to me. Why
weird.
didn't you just say, all right, come take me, or I'll be on your side? Why
I didn't
why
understand that
didn't
move either.
Once again, her deciding to turn herself in wasn't a good thing in the last episode. It came out of nowhere. And the only reason I think
Right.
she fought Jackie is because she was worried that she was going to be accused of murdering Kilneka. Which, once again, still didn't make a lot of sense. It would have been better if she said, listen, I didn't do this. I don't even own a lightsaber. But take
I
me in.
mean, sure,
Yes.
maybe she was worried about that, but she was also going to be accused of killing 3 other Jedi or 2 other Jedi. So,
No, I know.
what's one more?
Once again, I'm trying to defend the writing. I thought the same thing. I'm like, she's just turned herself in, and then she's fighting for the sake of fighting, and okay.
Right. Didn't make sense.
And then
And
obviously
we
I'm assuming Sol knows that he is with May, and maybe why he
I
left
think
Osha
he
it doesn't
must.
make much sense to me either. He asked about the sister. Why would he assume she's dead and if he does know it's May? I was like, first I'm like, okay, maybe he's taking her to arrest her or something along that lines. She thinks she has the upper hand here and is tricking me, but I'm going to turn it on her. But why would he leave Osha? Why would he not try to find anyone
Right.
that is
I
still
think
alive?
he's taking May to the ship to lock her up, maybe. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah,
Because
and then he's going to go back.
The entire moves all of these moves that they just made, they don't make any sense.
Here,
There's
I have question.
a lot of things.
In the first episode, when she was working on that crew, she had a tattoo
Yeah.
that was for that crew. Obviously, May doesn't have that tattoo.
Correct.
And May
So
has the
she's not
thing on her
showing
head
mark.
from the Ascension too, which Osha does not have.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
So I wonder. Obviously, he couldn't see through her sleeve. He's not Superman. But did he see this thing on her head? I mean, was it hidden by her hair?
Possibly.
And
So
No, it's like right here.
I
It's
have-
under her bangs, but once again, I kind of agree with Doug. The only thing that makes sense is he's taking her to the ship to lock her up,
Yep.
and then he's going to go back and thinks he's going to find
I-
Osha or anyone else alive. But
I also have a dumber addition to that. I think this is just an assumption based on everything else that has happened in this show so far. I think the reason why they chose to show the little beaver weasel following behind sniffing, I think was to assure the the more acceptable members of the audience, I'll put it that way, that, hey, this is just letting you know that that's May in case you didn't figure it out. Because look, he's sniffing, he's following behind her. So if Soul doesn't figure it out, Beaver Weasel will. Because it was like, it was so on the nose.
Yeah, it was.
It's like they were really trying to, like, it was like it felt like a Dora the Explorer episode. Like, do you see Swiper?
Yeah. Swiper, no really. Swiping. Basil, no sniffing. Basil, no sniffing.
They definitely don't know subtlety. These writers definitely don't know subtlety.
Where's May?
Well, and then
there she is.
Seeing the stranger healing Osha, and then taking her, he knows that's Osha, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
I'm like,
that's what I was gonna say. He's got. They both have to know. They both gotta know.
I think so.
But even with them both knowing, there's still some weird writing.
If he didn't.
Yeah.
This very okay. All right. This has been bugging me, and it is such a minimal, like, tiny thing that I doubt anybody else will care about. And this is why I brought up the other night about it feels like they were, putting things in so that way they had a space to insert commercial breaks. At one point when I want to say it was when Jackie and May were fighting, they all of a sudden did a wipe. They zoomed out so you could see, like, the forest up above. Then it went right back to Jackie and May fighting again. And it was, like, so weird and out of I'm just like, why would you do a screen wipe, show us the forest again for no reason? They didn't, like, they weren't showing us the tree monsters, they weren't showing us the shit. It was just the top of the forest, and then you go right back to the same fight. And I'm just like, why? It's such a weird choice. Weird editing choice.
You know what? I think they did that during Luke's training on Dagobah. They did some swipes where they just went right back to Luke. But I don't think they did the scenic angle first.
But I think in Luke's case, didn't they do it when he was like as a montage kind of thing? Like a montage? In one thing he's like carrying Yoda, and another one he's trying to like move the ship. This, it was they're fighting trees, they're still fighting. I was like,
very good editing. Thank you.
I'm like, okay, they must have done that because they're going to stick a commercial there or something. I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Then the other thing that was bothering the hell out of me, and I'm going to sound mean for a moment.
Uh-oh.
I didn't care for the actress who plays, Osha and May. I did not care for a lot of her acting in this episode. I thought it was worse than it has been. For instance, when what's his name was taking her back to the ship?
Yord,
thank you. When Yord was taking her back to the ship, and, at first she said, we should stay, we should go back. No, and he's trying to convince her this, we got to do what Soul said, you can't, what are you going to do? There's nothing that you're going to be able to do. You can't use the Force, you don't have any Jedi training, you can't do anything here. Let's go back to the ship. They get halfway through the forest. Hey, we should really go back. Again, why, though? What could you possibly do? How are you going to change this situation?
Well, you know what? I checked on something because I thought the same thing. And the director is the same for this episode as last week's. And I was like...
day and night, sure.
I think this director is not getting the most out of her. I think I think other directors are getting more emotions, maybe taking extra takes.
Yes.
Where it seems like... Because I was like, I'm like, I hope this doesn't continue, but the different directors for the rest of the episodes.
It was not great.
It wasn't. Honestly,
and
the
it was
only really
taking me out of the show
was Manny as the stranger.
Yeah.
Everyone else seemed okay, not great.
Like they were kind of phoning it in, like they did the first take maybe, and they're like, okay, that's good.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Very Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood, yeah.
That's how he films.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, are you ready for
all right, Clint, should we try that again? No.
Are you ready for my last prediction of the night?
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So, I think we're going to find out a lot of the backstory on what happened, why, Torben was willing to kill himself, why Kalnaka went into hiding, all
think
of the
that's a
guilt
given.
that is going to happen. And I think when Osha finds this out and finds out that the Jedi have lied to her whole life, I think she is going to kill Sol. And not only kill him without a weapon. And I think
You mean
she
May?
is... No, Osha. And I think Osha is going to become the Acolyte. And that'll be...
I feel like you're partially. I do
His
think
attachment
that is
to
somewhat
her-
going to happen.
His attachment to her is going to be his downfall.
Yeah.
And it's going to turn her to the dark side. And it's all going to be
Yeah.
really Sol's probably fault. Well, all four of them or whatever really happened there. But I do think she, after seeing that and her being with him, he's going to poison her mind with all the bad stuff they did. That wonderful master you thought you had, this is what he
Yeah.
really is.
At least in these two episodes, May came off as the more level-headed of the two. So yeah, I could see Osha finding out the reality, finding out the truth of everything, and just going apeshit. Really diving into the hate and the anger and the sadness and just letting it consume her. And I swear, if the directors, if the showrunners, if the editors, if they do not take the opportunity, zoom in and show us yellow Sith eyes, please don't drop the ball.
Make that happen.
They won't, but
I know.
now, how interesting would it be, kind of tagging on to your theory, how interesting would it be if that's what actually got her to be able to use the Force? So far, she hasn't shown any aptitude to be able to, do anything. Even when she was a child, she couldn't really manipulate the Force. Like, she was able to pass that test, so she's clearly able to see things, but she doesn't seem to be able to, telekinetically move things around.
Right. If she
So,
uses
but what
her
if
hate
tapping into
and
the
her
dark side is
anger.
what unlocked it?
That's what I'm thinking.
Palpatine should know that.
He's not around yet.
Now,
No,
again,
this guy, this Palpatine.
This guy.
Yeah.
now again, what we're talking about, this is really smart writing. I don't think the show's going to be able to pull it off as well as the suggestions we're making.
I know.
So, what if we did like a real quick workshop? This is going to be difficult, but what if we think of the more dumber version of what they will probably do of May working with the Jedi and Osha turning to the dark side? It's like the dumber version of that. It's more in line with this show.
Osha kills
Oh.
the stranger and joins her sister, and they have a dance party with Ewoks on
They
the
have a
Force.
dance
Yeah, okay, I
Tower.
can see something happening.
They find the actual Darth who's out there right now, and they have a dance-off with him. I'm telling you.
The power of Manny.
It's funny that did you see the actor's name who plays that part as Manny?
Yeah, Manny, Jaci something.
That's perfect. The power of Manny.
Yep. They told us who it was the whole time.
Not to tangent, but I did hear that there's this YouTube channel on YouTube of all places called Not Your Status Quo, and they actually recently put out a short that kind of mentions.
Explains.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it does sound kind of interesting. I think people should probably check that out.
I think they should. Now, by the way, I know Dave has talked before, and we've all felt we don't see anything that could lead to another season. And I don't know what the ratings are for this. I don't know if it's going to be renewed because it cost a whole lot of money to make this series. But the second series or the second season could be the stranger, Smilo Ren, and Osha as his acolyte. Maybe fighting against his former master, or trying to turn other Jedi to their cause, or something along those lines. It actually is shaping up that they might have something that could have another season, a story leading into another season. But still,
Okay.
we don't know how this is going to end up. So our predictions and theories, if they come true, I could see a second season and what might happen. But if they do
Something
silly.
Dumb and predictable.
Yeah.
Like everything has been so far.
Yeah.
It really is sad. It when you say the show is going to be
You
this
have
mystery,
potential.
and
And you squander it.
it's executed so poorly. No one was fooled. Not one person. This wasn't like The Sixth Sense where you're like, oh my God, he was dead the whole time. Sorry, spoilers for The Sixth Sense. But and then you can go back
I
and
haven't
watch
seen
it.
that movie yet.
Yeah. You can go back and watch that movie and be like, oh my God, no one ever talked to him. No one ever did this. That was so well played. Everyone saw everything coming. It hasn't been a shock. I really hope they still pull something off that I'm like, okay, that's cool. This show is still, average probably at best. But at least hopefully they pull off something good.
Well, since the time is flying by, do you guys want to quickly rate this, or do you have any other points to make?
That's all my points.
Yeah, I don't think I have any more points. What about you, Dave?
No, I think I slipped them in when you guys were talking.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. I got my thoughts out. So I can start if you want with the ratings.
Sure,
and
yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and rate this one right away. A 4.5, right along with last week. I mean, it is slightly better, so I can say 4.556872. It's definitely trending up. And you know what's funny is we were talking earlier about we were talking earlier about the other channels that like they either love it or they hate it.
Yeah.
And I saw one of them that normally hates it, and she said, "You know what? This show is getting better after this episode." I was like, "Wow, that's refreshing to see, not just from us."
Yeah.
And it's right. This was a better episode with all the lightsaber fights, and even though we all knew who the reveal is, they finally made that reveal. I did think there was a lot of it was really cheesy. I was surprised by the two deaths, but I keep feeling like Jackie is going to come back, and I hope that she doesn't, but I feel like she is. Well, we don't know. We'll find out.
True.
But probably.
I hope you're
Do
wrong.
you think they would be that?
I hope I'm wrong too.
I hope you're wrong.
I do. I hope I'm wrong, but we don't know for sure. We've had sillier things happen.
That is true.
So there it is, 4.5562.
I'm a lot with you, Dave. I think this week's was definitely better than last week's. It had some of the same problems as last week, like we talked about, like Amandla Stenberg not being directed well. But we did get, The Stranger. I thought his fighting style and fighting the Jedi was very entertaining. I thought his whole demeanor was very entertaining. But then, the twist of who it was, the way they delayed, like his helmet gets knocked off and his lightsabers are in front of his face. And I'm like, we know who it is. Just please show us the face for the love of God.
Yeah.
They did such a poor job with that. They did such a poor job with the Parent Trap at the end with the twins going, May's now with the Jedi and Osha's with, the Stranger. I was like, okay, nobody did not see that coming. Wow, bravo. Basically, with all of the good and bad kind of coming together, this is basically an average episode. And I wish it had more of the good because that was very entertaining, and I wish it had less of the bad because it was really just took me out of the moment that they brought me in with some of those just wonderful lightsaber battles, which I really enjoyed, and I can't wait to watch again because it was entertaining. Now, was it on par with Duel of the Fates? No. But at least they had that in mind when doing it that made it, very entertaining to me. So I'm going to give this a 5. This was an average episode. They should have done more better. Wow, that's terrible English.
Done more better.
I'm getting a 3 on grammar tonight. But they could have done a lot better with the things they had set up. And you can't rate it higher than, for me, I can't rate it higher than a 5.
Keith, I'm actually in the same boat as you. So the last week's episode was not great. And I rated that a 4. Dave, you rated last week a 4.5?
I think so.
So I was lower than you?
Well, if it's in question, hey, everybody go back and look at our previous video.
Yeah. So I rated last week a 4. And I think I'm in the same boat as Keith that there was some minor improvements in this episode. We did point it out. I think there was there was enough of an improvement that I'm willing to bring this up to a 5. Yeah, I have to agree with pretty much every point that Keith pointed out. Wow, I guess I'm on the same grammar train as you. I can't speak.
I'm affecting you guys. I'm so sorry.
Give me a 2, because I can't word good. But I loved the choreography. I thought it was really well done, and it really highlighted what Jord said when he said, "Yeah, we've never fought anybody like this before." The way he moved, it was so chaotic, and they showed it. They demonstrated it. They didn't just tell us. They actually showed the way that he fought. And yeah, I think the move where he impaled one Jedi and then pulled another one onto the thing, he shish kebabbed Jedi. That was sweet. And then the oh god, the brutal neck snap at the end of Jord. I did not see that come. That is like the first mystery in this entire show that's supposed to be about a big old mystery. That was the first one where I was like, oh, okay, I did not expect that. That is not like they already got me with Jecki. I did not see that coming. I didn't think they were gonna. I thought it seemed pretty obvious that they were setting up this whole like love interest thing between Osha and Jecki. I figured that's where they were going to go with this, but the fact they killed her off and Jord and Sol is the only one who survived. Didn't expect it. Did not see that coming. Now, do I think they're going to continue this momentum and make next week's episode good? No, I don't. I think this was a bit of a diamond in the rough. And yeah, so yeah, I'll rate this a 5 out of 10. Could have been better, but it was at least slightly better than last week.
Anyone out in the chat, let us know what you thought of this week's episode of The Acolyte. It is getting a bit late. We were on a little longer than normal, which is always good, especially when we're getting a lot of chat.
We did have a lot to talk about.
We definitely did. But let's look for somebody to raid.
Let's see. We've got Ketsu Kodo with only 4 people playing Destiny 2. We've got Tiny Valkyr with 17 people playing For the King. We've got Laura Dreaming with 22 people playing Fallout 4. McCall with 1.1 thousand. Jesus.
Oh my gosh. The Star Wars Underground.
Yeah, I don't have enough people in my channel.
Oh, you know what? Bubbles on. Playing Elden Ring.
Elden Ring.
Boobly.
Oh, what do you all want to do?
Fireworks going off in my neighborhood.
Is it really?
Oh, it's a good sign.
Yeah, that's... Yeah. Let's see. The Star Wars lore guy. The Star Wars Underground.
I wouldn't do Star Wars Underground. Like, I mean, if they actually had
Twitch,
did anything on Twitch, yeah.
Oh, CW Devarian is playing Dragon Age Inquisition. We do got Tiny Valkyrie. Let's do Bublé, just because I want to watch some Elden Ring.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's do some Michael Bublé. And I'm feeling good. Damn it.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead.
I'm about to end this, so go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't hear anything that just came out of your mouth, Dave. The Google's chip in my head had, blocked that music copyright claim.
That's right.
But thanks, everybody, for coming out, both YouTube and Twitch. Obviously, Twitch, if you're still on Twitch with us, we're about to raid Bublé, so thanks for staying with us. Those of you on YouTube, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video and comment. Please, it helps the channel out tremendously. We're about to raid, but we're going to do a little outro video, and we'll see you guys all, not next week because we're going to be off, but we'll be back the week after, so please find us.
Hey, fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.